Today on the Premiership Perusal podcast, we are back in action. Big Arsenal victory on the opening day. Second day follows up with even more surprising results, like a Liverpool dropping points at Craven Cottage and a surprise win for Bournemouth. Sunday didn't disappoint either as United lose their first game of the year, and Erling Haaland has arrived for Man City. All that and everything else in between. This is the Premiership Perusal podcast.
Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero! Back, Fuchs, and the ball in behind Damian Vardy! It's 11! It's heaven for Jamie Vardy!
You are an ostrich. Well, your head must be in the sand. Is your head in the sand? Are you flexible enough to get your head in the sand?
Now the fans are shouting every week, Louis van Gaal's army! Louis van Gaal's army!
Feet after a fabulous start, the game just got away from you there.
I have nothing to say.
Nothing to say about the game at all.
Drama from day one! This is the league we want to watch!
Hank, it's good to be back.
Yep.
It's good to be back. We were away for a week, had a digital episode last week.
That was awesome.
The scuffed episode.
It didn't sound that bad. It didn't sound perfect, but it didn't sound that bad.
Now, from my perspective, as an audio file, it wasn't great. But
Yeah.
we just had to do it.
Yeah. It had to get out.
The night before the Premier League started,
Yes.
we had to do it.
It's true. We
We had
to.
all these thoughts about the top half of the table, the games to come. We had to tell the people what they needed to hear.
Yeah.
They
and
were
we
waiting.
told them.
You know,
It's a good thing we did.
I feel bad we held out for a week where they had nothing.
Yeah.
These people, they're waiting. They love us.
They were trying to get some good bets in
Yes.
for the season, the futures, the longs.
Yeah, and they're like, I don't know. I'm going to have to pick them myself.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, the podcast comes down into their subscription box, and they're like, finally, it's time. That's what I like to imagine, people sitting down, having a nice cup of tea.
They have a Bruce Buffer moment where they
Yeah.
let it all out.
They have a true moment of euphoria where they're like, wow, this is next
Finally.
level thinking, like big brain, galaxy brain.
Yeah. The purple and white lads are back with some Premiership
Yes, that's right.
talks. Well, let's get right into it.
Let's get into it.
First match, Palace, Arsenal at Selhurst.
Friday night.
A little Friday night action here.
Spicy.
Let's get to the lineups. Sam, take it away.
For Crystal Palace, Guaita, Mitchell, Gehi, Anderson, Klein, Ayew, Eze, Zaha, Schlupp, Decore, and Edouard. For Arsenal, Ramsdale, White, Gabriel, the center back, William, Saliba, Zinchenko, Thomas Partey, Odegaard, Xhaka, Saka, Gabby Jesus, and Gabby Martinelli.
How about that?
Any surprises week one of lineups, or what are you thinking?
No, it typically looks pretty standard. Maybe, I think just to keep it pretty vanilla for Arsenal, the little 4-3-3, keeping Xhaka out there. Some people might want to see something else, but against Crystal Palace, you have to solidify the midfield and make sure you're not getting too cute with, getting too attacking or too defensive. So I don't mind that. As far as Palace go, I know we talked about last week on the pod. I was really looking forward to seeing Decore and how he fits in there. And we'll get into the game and stuff, but I'm not an Ayew guy. You're not an Ayew guy, but
No.
I don't know why he's out there. I don't know why he played so long.
No, he's like the ghost of Palace's past. He's
He
the
really is.
remnants of the terrible team that once was.
Yeah, truly.
Yeah, I think the only thing for me, I was a little surprised. I thought maybe Mateta would start, but It's kind of a toss-up, Edouard versus Arteta.
It's like who's more in form, and Vieira must have felt that Edouard was more in form. But getting into the game, good start for Arsenal. Yeah, Jesus, amazing run. Martinelli, not so amazing shot, but you could see right away what Jesus able to bring to this Arsenal attack.
Yeah, it truly was a breath of fresh air having that level of movement. It's just next level the way he plays.
Yeah.
He was just popping up everywhere, making some nice runs.
Speaking of being massive and just popping up everywhere, Zinchenko also making his presence felt. I said last week on the pod on the preview for Arsenal, he's going to be an amazing signing for them because there's just so many games last year where Arteta, you question what his plan was, but I think it came down more to personnel. He just didn't have the guy to fit that spot. And there's times where it's like, there's Lokonga, and it's like, well, you can't really use him. Or there's Nuno Tavares. It's like, you can't really use him there.
Yeah.
Zinchenko's going to fill a lot of those kind of gaps that they need, and he was great this game.
Yeah, and of course, coming from City, he suits the system perfectly, because Arteta plays very similar. Having the fullbacks that can pinch into the midfield and kind of become another midfielder.
Yeah.
And be able to have that quality of passing that Zinchenko has.
Yes.
That was really beneficial for Arsenal. Kind of like the first 20 minutes was a really good start for Arsenal, and then they scored the goal.
Yeah, they got their goal early on with Martinelli off that worked play, the corner routine. A little lazy by Palace, but I'd say better by Arsenal than anything on that to spot the back post run and good headed pass and stuff.
Yeah, I think that was pretty well worked when you have one guy who's just completely empty. And then, I mean, for Zinchenko to have the header
it was a good
across
headed
the
pass.
box, that was very impressive.
Yeah. I was surprised Saka and Odegaard really didn't do a ton this game in terms of attack. They weren't really required to, especially after, the first 25, 30 minutes when Arsenal kind of started to, I guess it was more Palace kind of up the ante of the game, kind of taking it to Arsenal a bit.
Yeah, it was definitely favoring the left side a lot going through Zinchenko.
Yeah. Thought Ben White did a good job with controlling Zaha.
Yeah, absolutely. That was kind of like a key focus for the match. Like, okay, we got Ben White, normal center back playing right back, going up against one of the toughest tests in the league, Wilfried Zaha. And I think overall he did really well.
Yes.
You're never going to have a game where you can completely shut out
Zaha.
He did pick up a yellow card, but, overall did a good job.
Yeah, I felt Palace kind of started to get more into the game, kind of really stretching the field with long passes. That was their most effective way to kind of get through the Arsenal defense. I know Saliba got man of the match, but I think Ramsdale deserves a fair shout because Palace, before the end of the first half, started piling it on. Ramsdale, big save off a set piece, and Edouard should have scored probably.
Yeah, I think Palace had two chances where they definitely had a high probability of scoring that Ramsdale came up really, really clutch. He had a couple shaky moments in the first half, but ultimately, with the big saves.
Yeah, makes up for it.
Makes up for it. They didn't get punished. So still some areas to work on. Obviously when you have a new center back pairing, that's going to be something that takes time to develop, and Ben White playing at right back as well. But overall, in the first half, pretty good for Arsenal, especially to not concede going into halftime.
Yeah. Second half starts off, massive chance for Etse. Great through ball by Wilfried Zaha to find him.
Yeah, that was a beautiful ball.
Yeah, great pass. Arsenal, big chance at 59, but Odegaard passed or did something. He didn't shoot is what he didn't do, and that was a brutal decision.
Yeah, and it ended up being an incomplete pass. I mean, he was wide open in front of net, and
yeah, you just gotta shoot that.
That's
getting too cute.
It didn't even look like he thought about shooting.
No,
his first thought was just, who can I pass to? And really, I mean, it wasn't the worst idea,
but it wasn't good.
Yeah.
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 Sometimes less is more. Keeping it simple, not
Yeah.
overthinking it. But in the middle of the game, it's hard to do that, especially when he wasn't looking that well to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
So he's probably second-guessing himself. Even game, but Palace in second half holding most of the possession. For a while, not really doing a ton with it. Credit to Arsenal for good positioning and holding shape.
Yeah.
And then I have a note here about Ayew not being subbed off. I just didn't get that. He wasn't doing much in attack anyways. You're going to have to be going for the win. I thought sacrifice him. But
Yeah, especially when Arsenal kind of starts to get a little more organized without the ball.
yeah.
There's an argument to be made on the counterattack. He's a little more useful.
Yeah.
Still not very useful, but Arsenal
I mean,
were able to organize nicely.
obviously he's most useful when a team is other than Palace is holding the ball and possessing, and he can kind of press and run at people. That's when he's at his best. But
Yeah.
I don't think, when you're set up in the final third trying to break down a defense, Mr. Ayew is not the man you want.
No.
Palace, good chance of creating chances. Good job of creating chances out wide, I thought, especially late in the second half. And then doesn't matter because Saka goes down the other end out of nowhere, just straight across the box, facing net. Gets deflected in by Mark Guéhi. 2-0 Arsenal. That's how it wraps up.
Yeah, that was the nail in the coffin. And, sometimes you just got to put the ball on net and weird things happen.
Don't tell that to Brighton sometimes.
Don't
Don't tell that to
Brighton.
Leicester
Yeah.
sometimes.
Yeah, overall, I mean, I thought Crystal Palace played pretty decent.
Yeah, I felt like they played probably like C+, B-. I thought Arsenal played like A-, A almost level.
I would say it's kind of like, what are your expectations? When you can realize that this is a very tough game.
Yeah.
Palace away, first game of the season.
That's what
high
I'm
levels
thinking
of
of.
energy. It was a really tough performance, gritty, to dig deep, not concede.
Yeah, I'm not saying Arsenal played. I mean, I guess I could see how someone would say that, but like, they got outplayed by Palace. I could see how someone would say that, but I wouldn't agree because I think Arsenal, once they got the lead, they had their objective in terms of kind of keeping shape defensively and stuff. If they just sat back and broke down, then yeah, sure, you would probably sit there and say, oh, well, they didn't look very good, but they did what they had to do and they won. So.
Yeah, you got to adapt to the game, you
Yeah.
know, and make those decisions.
Are people complaining about the way Arsenal played or something?
No, I'm just saying, it wasn't like a Man City like dominant 70% possession.
I
type
guess.
game.
What stood out to you about Palace before we move on that you like to see?
I mean,
or that they could improve on?
obviously, like you were saying, the wide play is very good. That's a strong suit of Palace.
Yeah.
I think centrally it was a little disappointing. Edouard.
That's why
make
I
too much of
feel
an
like
impact.
Mateta full game, if you're swinging balls into him, he might have had a better chance. But
Yeah, I think so. Doucouré, I thought he looked decent.
yeah, he was fine. There's some really good debuts this weekend. We'll move on to one of them right here. Fulham, Liverpool. People probably thinking, he's talking about Darwin Nunez. And that's not who I'm talking about. Let's get to the lineups. Rodek, Kenny Tete, Ajax youth legend out there. Tosin, Tim Ream, Anthony Robinson, the half-American back line.
Wow.
That's spooky. Harrison Reed, Cabano, Bobby Reed, Andres Pereira, João Paulinho, and Mr. Alexander Mitrovic.
Mr. 43 goals.
Yeah, Mr. Championship Slayer.
Completed
The
it.
basher of Bristol City.
Completed it, mate.
The Wumbo of West Brom.
The Wumbo.
To Liverpool, Alisson, Van Dijk, Robertson, Matip, Alexander-Arnold, Fabinho, Thiago, Hendo, Firmino, Salah, Luis Diaz. Anything stand out to you about those lineups? I mean, that seems pretty basic for both teams.
I wasn't expecting Alisson. I think
Yeah.
Well, Klopp had said that he was injured
No.
and he wasn't going to play the first game.
You got to play him against Fulham. Come on.
But I think
Look at Bernd Leno on the bench, arms crossed.
that's a great picture.
And Shane Duffy.
Kelleher was hurt for Liverpool, so that might have impacted the decision.
You don't trust Adrian, that's Community Shield winning goalkeeper. Adrian
I will say
for you.
he's like the best third keeper in the league.
Oh, it's not even close.
Yeah, he's probably better than some second choice keepers.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, pretty standard from both sides. Some debuts for Fulham.
Yeah, a couple guys debuting. Mainly to note in this one is João Paulinho, who was all over the place, especially in the first half.
Yeah, let's get right into it. Early start for Fulham. High energy levels. I wasn't expecting that. They were all over the pitch.
Yeah, they were juiced. The crowd was amped up for Craven Cottage. Kind of, it's almost like a joke that like Fulham is not like they don't have hardcore fans or anything like that.
Yeah, it's the family club or
exactly.
something.
But yeah, really good job of holding shape and tracking back well, not getting beat in transition, which is what Liverpool want to do to you.
Yeah, and they were pressing really well.
Yeah.
Also.
Yeah. Liverpool, as the half kind of went on, probably like 10 to 20 minutes in, kind of started to ramp it up a bit, but I mean their crosses were relatively neutralized. I thought Fulham did a good job of getting behind Liverpool, making sure that keeping Liverpool in front of them at all times.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Liverpool were caught off guard by Fulham's start, or another thing I noticed while watching this game was it looked like Liverpool were still in preseason mode in terms of the quality of their attack. It wasn't loose, or it wasn't sharp. It was pretty loose overall.
Yeah.
Passes just kind of going all over the place. Not really getting Salah involved as much. Just swinging like random diagonal balls across the field. It didn't look good.
Yeah, and early on they get caught out by a counterattack by Fulham. Robertson stretched ball side, had to cover all the way across, and Fulham pushing up. Trent Alexander-Arnold back post gets dunked on.
Absolutely dunked on.
Absolutely yammed by Mr. Alex Mitrovic.
Put him on a poster.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's when we knew that Mitrovic was for real.
Newcastle and Anderlecht legend Mitrovic. After that, I thought that Liverpool kind of really ramped it up, especially they're just like, Luis Diaz, do your thing, and he was looking really good out there.
Yeah.
Obviously, really strong form to close out the year for Liverpool. Ends up hitting the post on a pretty unlucky shot.
Yeah, goes into halftime 1-0. Fulham, a little surprising that they're in this position, but hey, weirder things have happened.
Yes.
Second half, 57th minute, Cabano has a nice shot hit off the post. I was impressed by him. I thought he had a good performance in this game. Liverpool make the substitution, bring on Darwin Nunez.
Yes.
And he doesn't take long to get off the mark. 64th minute, gets the equalizer from Mo Salah's cross. Some not so great defending from Mr. Anthony Robinson.
Yeah. To say the least. He's a fast man.
He's not
a
there
defending
for the
man.
defending.
He's
like a poor man's TAA.
Yeah.
And by poor, I mean like very
poor. Skid Row.
Yeah.
He's a homeless man.
But hey, the way Alexander-Arnold played in this game, maybe not so much.
He might be like a poor man's, like Tarek Lamptey is what he might be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
70th minute, penalty awarded to Fulham after another counterattack. Mitrovic just going all the way.
Yeah.
The man can't be stopped.
Well, that one video of him like stiff arming Henderson and then putting a spin move on Van Dijk was one of the funniest things you'll see all season. I guarantee it.
It's Mitrovic's world, and we're all just living in it.
Yeah. Just a beefy Serbian man.
I don't know why I didn't write in my notes who committed the penalty.
It was Van Dijk.
Van Dijk, yeah. The contact, it was higher up on the knee. It wasn't too much contact, but,
Yeah, he
enough
reached out.
Enough to be there. And also, it's kind of, you put your leg in that position,
You deserve it.
you're playing a dangerous game. Mitrovic steps up, gets his second of the game for the brace.
And Fulham take the lead.
Fulham take the lead.
Again.
But not long after, in the 80th minute, an over-the-top ball from Alexander-Arnold, poorly defended by one of the Americans, Tim Ream, falls to Mo Salah, who scores. Mo Salah definitely getting more involved in the game towards the end there.
Yeah, which is just strange he wasn't involved in the entire game.
Yeah,
With that said, he still had a goal and an assist.
right. Yeah, even not at his best. And yeah, Fulham hold on for the draw despite a last-minute effort from Hendo that hit off the crossbar. But overall, very strong performance for Fulham in the first match of the season.
Absolutely.
Huge result for them, even though it's just 1 point. Taking that point off of Liverpool at home. Great momentum going into the season.
I'll say it right now. This was one of those games last year that Liverpool wins.
That's a good point.
There
I
were
agree.
many times where Liverpool kind of just grinded games out. It looked like they wouldn't be able to do it, and they somehow came out with all 3 points. Not so much in this one. Not able to do enough to grind it out. And, I mean, you might just say, well, it's mere inches, but what can you say? I mean, if the Henderson shot goes in, yes, they do take all 3 points, but
That's what happens when the
Lady
title
Luck's-
is decided by a point.
that's when Lady Luck's not on your side, There's not much you can do. But no, impressive from Fulham, especially Paulinho and Mitrovic. They were fantastic. Surprised that even though they still had really bad, it was really poor defense by Fulham during the goals, but for the most of the game, they were pretty stout.
Yeah, that was pretty surprising. I am not a Tim Ream fan whatsoever, and obviously Anthony Robinson, calling him
You're just
calling
an
him a
American
defender
hater.
is like calling a LaCroix fruit water. It's just not true.
Sure,
It's just disgusting.
I wouldn't know.
It's like you put a fruit in the vicinity of the water.
Sure, I've never had
I've
one.
never had one either.
Okay.
Liverpool, a huge blow. Thiago out for 6 weeks,
Yeah.
I think. Something that we had previously mentioned.
Yeah, I mean you're playing with fire when you go with that shallow of a squad. You have chance to bring in depth, and you just don't do it because you're only going to sign super duper stars.
Now
Doesn't make sense.
let me ask you this one final question on this
Yeah.
game. Does Liverpool bring in another midfielder by the
No.
end of the window?
No,
No,
nope,
I don't think so either.
no, they won't. You let Gini Wijnaldum walk for free. You don't just start like panic buying.
Yeah.
So
Moving on to the third match of the week. Bournemouth versus Aston Villa. A repeat of the same game. Bournemouth's very first game in the Premier League 7 years ago
how about that?
was Bournemouth versus Aston Villa at the Vitality. That's pretty crazy.
It really is.
Getting into the lineups for Bournemouth. Travers in net. Back three of Kelly. Mepham. Lerma, Smith, Pearson, Billing, Zamira in the midfield, and front three of Solanke, Tavernier, and Kiefer Moore. For Aston Villa, Martinez in net, Cash, Carlos, Konsa, Digne, back four. Midfield of McGinn, Ramsey, and Kamara. Front three, Danny Ings, Coutinho, and Leon Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on these lineups?
I liked it. From both sides, I think that it's kind of, I wouldn't say that, even though I have it laid out as a back three, I don't know if you'd say that they had a back three for
More
Bournemouth.
of a back five.
Yeah, even so, like Smith just rotating back there, can make a makeshift four when you're in possession of the ball.
Yeah.
But as far as Villa, I don't hate the midfield. I love the midfield, but it is fairly defensive. You don't have much in terms of the attacking aspect in the midfield with McGinn, Ramsey, and Kamara. But you do have three up front with Ings, Coutinho, and Bailey, and those three were expected to make a lot happen. And, hey, you got Matty Cash and Dier out wide to swing balls in. You feel like, we got enough offense. So, getting to the game, however, there was a goal right off the bat.
Right off the bat. First corner kick of the game.
Yeah.
Bournemouth.
Mr. Lerma, making it happen.
Yeah.
Mad scramble, slots it in.
Yeah, I forget who it was. I don't know if it was Tavernier who brought down the first ball and kind of put it back in. And then just at that point, it's anybody's game. First man to get to it. Lerma takes a chance, scores. Bournemouth are in heaven there.
Yeah, dream world.
2 minutes in.
Villa respond, getting Ings in behind and creating some chances, forcing Travers to make some saves, and also just not taking advantage of the chances created. Villa pressing pretty hard when Bournemouth had the ball in their own end. I noticed that. That's not fully a Villa thing that we saw last year all the time. So they must have saw something about pressing Bournemouth. And, relatively, it kind of worked for a bit. And then there'd be once in a while where Tavernier would kind of just break loose and create space. And then, Villa have to get back. And then Bournemouth are able to set up possession a bit.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting to see Bournemouth playing out of the back. But it was a little bit more unconventional. So they'd go from Travers to Mepham. And then Mepham would get it up to like Zamora or something, who would immediately play more of a longer ball up forward. So it's kind of like you're playing your initial out of the back, but only for like a pass or two. And then then you're just trying to launch, your forwards ahead and hit quick.
Yeah, they like to utilize the space in behind. Your particular lines of whether it be the midfield. In this case, you have to even utilize the space behind the attackers in midfield because, that's what they're doing. They're going defense to midfield and then popping it midfield to the attackers. Thought they did a really good job of breaking Villa down. But Villa also, there's a lot of times they weren't there centrally in the park in attack, which kind of threw me off for a loop. I get, and that's part of having the super defensive midfield. There's not going to be relief where you can just pass it centrally, work it back to the defense, and get it out wide. Because, all that really McGinn and Ramsey and Kamara are going to do for the most part is go sideways or go backwards. They're not going to be threading balls forward that much. And that's part of the issue. It's just having Coutinho out wide, Bailey out wide. It's a little too isolated, I felt like.
Yeah, and I think initially they were trying to play Coutinho down the middle, but then he drifted out wide and kind of disappeared. And it was really up to Danny Ings to kind of do the one-man show.
Yeah,
and he did pretty good in like the first 15, 20 minutes of the game. I thought he looked lively.
Yeah.
In terms of chance creation, in terms of executing those chances, not so much. But I think that was Villa's strongest moments of the game were kind of those first 20 minutes of the game, and then they kind of dropped off.
Yeah, it felt very much like Villa from last year when Buendia wasn't out there, and it was kind of the same way in this game. And again, Buendia comes on later in the second half, and they just look better, but also part of that is Bournemouth's like, okay, we just have to play defense now.
Yeah.
Villa kind of slowed it down too, especially in the first half. Kind of worked the flanks, but Bournemouth, just so many bodies packed in that midfield that you're not going to be able to get central.
Yeah, they did such a great job of staying organized. They had kind of the two low blocks, and Villa, so much of their passing was just like between their center backs because there was no penetration through those two lines. It was like a back five and then four in front of that.
Yeah.
Just so difficult to break down, and especially with how well organized Bournemouth were.
Yeah. And like I said, better chances in the second half when Buendia and Watkins came on, but No big chances, no amazing chances.
Mm-hmm.
Second goal goes to Kiefer Moore, your guy, the Welsh lad. 2-0.
Yeah.
And it finishes that way.
Yeah, beautiful cross from Mr. Kelly to find Kiefer Moore. I got to say, I mean, I'm a Kiefer Moore fan, but to see Kiefer Moore, he was putting in a shift this game.
Yeah, he was playing well.
He was kind of playing somewhat on the wing at times, somewhat central at times, doing a lot of tracking back, defending, a lot of, chasing after balls.
Yeah, there's a lot of good performances from Bournemouth, ones you wouldn't see in the stat columns and stuff like that. It was kind of just a lot of effort out there.
Yeah.
I liked Billing in this game too. He wasn't spectacular. We've seen him better, but I thought he was still solid. And this in Tavernier getting adjusted to the Premier League, I think he'll be a solid kind of like 10 for them. So all in all, great performance for Bournemouth. Even better result. Villa, back to the drawing board. Disappointing start when you're already under some pressure. Big spenders. Didn't finish the year that well last year. Got to get it going. Got to get some momentum going.
Something I noticed about Villa was they lost almost every set piece, offensively or defensively. No one was getting near the ball.
Yeah.
Ever. So that rules out, any chances from corners or free kicks. And then obviously conceded a goal.
And part of that too
right
is
off the
like,
bat.
sure, Ings can win headers and stuff. Like if you have one for an attacking set piece, but you also have Coutinho and Leon Bailey out there. That's two guys that aren't winning shit.
Yeah.
McGinn's not
Not
all that
tall.
big. I mean, who's winning out there? Like Watkins and Mings would probably be your two best set piece guys, and neither of them are out there, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's why my thoughts on Villa, we're already skeptical of Villa and of Stevie G, and the pressure is even on more after
Now
this
people
loss.
actually are waking up to it. It
People
feels
are
like.
waking up to it. I mean, it just doesn't really sit well with me coming into this season. Gerrard comes in. He says, Tyrone Mings, strip him of the captaincy. You're going to be benched. Already, we're putting off weird vibes after a poor season. I think
Like 3
Mings has been
games
one of
or
the most
3
solid
days in.
players, at the past 2 seasons.
Yeah.
He's not the problem. Like, obviously, you're bringing in Diego Carlos, and, that's nice and all, but you have Consa next to him.
Yeah. I don't know. Very strange.
And just the attack overall, we saw this at times where it's just completely dead.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that bad.
It really shouldn't. That's what happens when, you have small, quick guys. You need versatility, and that's why I think, Ings and Watkins can work better together as just two up top. If you have Ings and Watkins and then you have a guy more central, whether it's Bailey, whether it's Coutinho, I think that would work better because they can distribute a little more and dribble, create for themselves. But I don't know. I feel like having Coutinho and Bailey out there is a bit redundant. I get they're on opposite wings, or Coutinho might be even a little more central, but
Yeah.
just two small pace merchants. I don't like that, but that's just me.
Yeah. I would say Buendia should start the next game.
Yes, and probably Watkins.
Yep. Moving on to the next game of the match week, Leeds versus Wolves.
Leeds.
We all love Leeds.
We all love Leeds.
To the lineups.
Melier, Koch, Llorente, Struijk, Christensen, Aronson, Roca, Adams, Rodrigo, Jack Harrison, Patrick, Bamford. For Wolves, we have Sa, Ait Nouri, Nate Collins, Johnny Kellerman, Neto, Neves, Podence, Gibbs White, Dendonker, Hwang Hee Chan. Wolves kind of buzzing around early, creating some pressure, and they get their goal early. And they're in attack. They're in attack for pretty much the first 10-15 minutes for the most part, kind of putting it on. The Podence goal, very strange, kind of bit of luck to it, but what can you say? Very nice goal.
Yeah, and you got to say that it was well worked in the build-up from Neto and Chan.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, a little fortunate on the shot bounced into the ground and worked out nicely. But hey, sometimes that happens.
Yes. Leeds, about 15, 20 minutes in, finally kind of ramp up the pressure with their press, and they kind of find some space now when they're turning Wolves over, and they're getting their chances, especially their attack kind of just brewing now.
Yeah. Potential penalty as Jose Sa makes contact with Christensen without getting the ball. I was shocked that this wasn't given as a pen. What were your thoughts?
Well, you clocked him.
Yeah. I
He
don't know how
he
that's
gave
not a
him
penalty.
Gave him a nice pop right to his face. Yeah, I know. I thought it was very strange. He didn't come close to the ball.
As an owner of Jose Sa in my FPL team, I was like, oh no, there go my points. The penalty conceded. Nothing called, but 24th minute, Leeds get the equalizer, pestering Wolves in their own box, just putting the pressure on them, and Wolves can't handle it. Rodrigo, I don't know what I was typing. Rodrigo gets a shot that sneaks in at the near post.
Yeah. Wolves kind of got burned. I don't know if it's a mix of they couldn't clear it or they wouldn't clear it, because they kind of seemed to do both, where it's like they were trying to dribble out of the back, and it's like, what the hell are you doing? You're in your own box.
This is Bruno Lage's new back four.
Yeah, and Leeds capitalize on it, and not good goalkeeping by Mr. Jose Sa.
Nightmare.
Yeah, he was cheating far post, and Rodrigo said, no, near post.
The pendulum is swinging. This season will be another season of near post goals.
I could see it. Wolves respond with some chances, but Leeds remain dangerous on the counter attack. I thought Wolves' build up with their passing and stuff was really good.
Yeah.
And then their shots were just kind of right at Meslier, it felt like.
Yeah, I thought Wolves were by far the better team. Leeds saw, pretty minimal amounts of the ball in the first half.
Yeah,
Leeds. And I thought that Wolves should have been leading with the chances that they had.
Even though the Rodrigo goal went in, I felt like their best chance was the right before half, where Harrison was coming up the wing and then crossed it across the face of net, and then Rodrigo couldn't get on it and Bamford couldn't get on it. I felt like that was Leeds' best sequence right there. Speaking of great chances right before half, Den Donker with an insanely, the most one-on-one perfect chance you could ask for. Meslier saves it.
Yep,
great pass by Hwang Hee-chan. So it goes into half 1-1. But
Hwang Hee-chan, the most injured man in the Premier League.
Yeah, he's for NFL reference, he's the Raheem Mostert of the Premier League. He's just constantly, he's made of paper mache, is what I like to say.
His hamstrings are just paper.
Yeah, it really is. Second half, Neves long balls, look at the most dangerous aspect of Wolves, I thought, early in the second half. But I felt like Wolves, especially in the second half, were really playing into Leeds' hands. They kind of tried to push the pace at times. Did not feel like that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't do that to Leeds.
Yeah.
You need to slow Leeds down.
Something I noticed, a lot of people were talking about Pedro Neto had a pretty good game. And I think, yes, there were times where he showed some real skill and talent, but there were too many times where he just held on to the ball way too much instead of passing. Yeah. I think that was a detriment to Wolves. It was just kind of, it was getting a little gummed up in the works. We need to get something moving more centrally to get the shots off.
See, I just felt like it was more... There wasn't one guy in the team who stood out at this, but it felt like there was a lack of urgency at times when they're on the ball. Mm-hmm. Yet, like the very next sequence, they're just like trying to sprint immediately past everyone on Leeds and stuff. There was like no in between.
Yeah,
it's like you're doing it wrong both ways. Don't do that. Just, I don't know. Wolves give up the lead then as Leeds get back into it. They grab the lead. Great passing. Bamford squaring it for Aronson. I forget who passed it to Bamford, but it was a great through ball.
Yeah.
It might have been Harrison, but I could be wrong. Then and Aronson, and they had to cheat him out of a debut goal.
Yeah, the absolute disrespect from the dubious goals panel.
Yeah, not okay.
I think it's got to be said that Aronson was looking pretty good in this game.
I thought he looked really well.
Yeah, he's a young guy, but I think he
matches Leeds' effort and energy.
Yeah,
and what they need.
He suited them nicely, and I think also it should be said that Christensen was pretty good as well.
Yeah,
I like, he adds a little strength on defense, a little grit, no nonsense. That's what you need when you're playing like Leeds are. You need a guy who's just gonna work his tail off.
Absolutely. 2-1 finishes for Leeds. You could say a bit fortunate. You could have maybe argued that should have been like a draw or something, but big 3 points for Leeds, and then the Marsh and Lage beef after that was great. I noticed when I watched it that there was some, I think it was during the punch that they cut to the bench for like 0.2 seconds, and there was some yelling back and forth. So I was wondering if maybe that's what that was about. And then something else kind of just really pushed it over the top. But
yeah, that was like a top 2 moment of this week was Bruno Lage and Jesse Marsh getting into a little scuffle at the end of the game.
Hilarious.
Oh, you love to see it. America taking over the Premier League by storm.
Yes, undefeated.
Undefeated.
It must be said, Sam's guy Rodrigo is the leading goal scorer for Leeds.
Leading goal scorer for Leeds. You'll never sing that.
Yep.
Moving on to the next match.
Oh, yeah.
Newcastle versus Nottingham Forest.
Yes.
At St. James's Park, the Fortress.
The Fortress.
In the lineups, we got Newcastle, Nick Pope, Trippier, Cher, Target, Dan Burn, Joelinton, Joe Willock, Bruno G, Callum Wilson, St. Maximin, on the wing, and Miguel Almiron.
I'm so sad that I didn't just call it last week and said Newcastle's going to finish top 6.
That would be a spicy take.
I don't know. I don't think it would be.
Forest lining up Henderson, Worrell, Niakate, McKenna, Nico Williams, Jack Colback, former Magpie himself.
Yeah.
Lewis O'Brien, Harry Toffolo, Lingard, Surge, and Johnson.
Lingard, like it's not J-Lings.
J-Lings, boy. J-Lings back. Playing.
He's back.
I'm doing the J-Lings for everyone at home, and you should be too. Making $300K a week or whatever ridiculous amount of wages he's stealing.
They broke it down. I think it was like 80, and like after incentives, it can be like
140,
two something. I thought, or like 190 or something like that.
Except the incentive is like winning the league.
Yes.
Ballon d'Or.
To the game, Newcastle dominant.
It was pretty brutal to watch.
Nottingham was holding on for dear life. It was like a child learning to swim, and they're treading water, but they're like sinking.
And it was at the deep end of the ocean.
Yeah, it was rough. It just felt like Newcastle couldn't quite get in the right spot to finish.
Yeah, I didn't think Newcastle were even playing that good. I think it was just more so like Forest was like out of the depth.
Yeah, especially defensively. It was just, there's no organization from Nottingham Forest, and Newcastle was solid enough in terms of holding the ball, and they were creating chances. I thought St. Maximin looked really good. I thought Bruno G obviously looked amazing in this one. Joelinton just looked too big, too strong out there. Almiron looked solid too, but I don't know. Newcastle didn't, or Nottingham didn't do themselves any favors in this one.
No. Joelinton had a wonderful chance. He just had a miraculous run and then had the open shot and
just dragged it. It was so rough.
Hard to watch.
The blonde bombshell himself.
Hard to watch, yeah.
I thought Dean Henderson was probably the bright spot for Forest. He made some saves.
Yeah.
In the first half. There's like one or two that were pretty tough. The rest were kind of just right at him. But, you know, you got to look at something for Nottingham.
I mean, Forest, they were struggling to get the ball past the halfway line.
But then they had one or two chances, and then it was like Brennan Johnson would just like panic. He would just like freeze with the ball.
See, that's my hesitancy of putting all my faith in this young guy who performed in the championship. Like, this is going to be one of your guys in the Premier League. You're going to rely on him. And it's like, okay, one, he's not going to get very much service. And two, you know, can he perform at the Premier League level? I'm not sure.
We'll see. So it goes in halftime 0-0 miraculously. Second half, Newcastle still in control and creating chances in a variety of ways. It felt like Newcastle threw the kitchen sink at Forest.
Yeah.
It was one of those games where it's like, is it just not going to go in or something? Then off the corner, short corner, St. Maximin, great turn, swings it in, goes all the way out, no one there. And they loop back, and Fabian Schär releases just a absolute thunderbolt.
The Swiss Thunderbolt.
Yeah, just a banger. Upper 90. Nothing Mr. Henderson can do about that. Newcastle have their goal.
Yeah, fantastic. Newcastle continued to dominate after that. Forest making plenty of subs. Of course, they've got a lot of new players.
Yes.
And none of them really were able to do anything. But, you know, that's how it goes when you're playing Newcastle.
Yes.
78th minute, Newcastle get their second goal of the game through a beautiful outside the boot flick on by
Little
Callum
chip.
Wilson.
Oh.
It was just
Pure
magnificent.
filth. Yeah. That's what it took to beat Nottingham in this game, which was kind of strange because,
Yeah.
you know, Nottingham didn't play that well yet. It took two really, really well-worked goals to, you know, some individual brilliance to beat it, which was kind of strange. But it finishes 2-0. Forest, your takeaway is just, you know, you might have the quality, but it's definitely going to take time to build it, to build that chemistry, because there were so many moments of unsurety when you did have the ball where people didn't know where to be, what to do. So,
Yeah.
and then Newcastle, the machine that just keeps rolling. The green and white Saudi machine that is Newcastle can't be stopped.
I like that description, the machine. They are a machine.
They really are.
They
Eddie
play as
Howe's-
a unit, and
Eddie Howe's men.
yeah, I really like it. And like you said, Forrest, it was never going to happen week one. You know, if it's going to happen at all, it's going to take some time. It's going to be like
Yeah, they're
Crystal
lucky.
Palace.
They're lucky that it's especially with the World Cup, that second half of the year, they might, if they just catch fire,
Yeah.
that might be enough for them.
Yeah, it's possible. Well, they're going to keep trying. They're just going to keep buying guys. They're
Yes.
buying
Manuel
more
Dennis.
as we speak.
Manuel Dennis official today.
Yeah.
They bought Remo Freuler. I like him. He's a solid player on Atlanta, but I don't know. Again, a lot of it's just going to come down to chemistry more so than lack of talent, if anything.
Yeah.
All right, here's your game of the week. This game sucked.
This game did suck.
Everything about this game was terrible.
And the game we are referencing is Tottenham versus Southampton. Into the lineups for Tottenham: Lloris, Dier, Romero, Davies, Højbjerg, Royale, Sessegnon, Bentancur, Son, Kane, Kulusevski. For Southampton,
Look at that beautiful keeper kid.
Bazunu, the pride of Ireland, the youngster, Walker Peters, Ginappo, Salisu, Bednarak, Jan Valery, Romeo, Ward-Prowse, Lavia, Joe Aribo, and Adam Armstrong. Pretty surprising lineup from Southampton.
It's surprising, but it's really not surprising because Hasenhüttl is an absolute madman. We saw him at the end of last year. Now there's reports coming out the players hate him and they're surprised that he's kept. He's just off the wall, like
He's
kind
zany.
of cuckoo. Yeah,
He's zany. He's mixing in too much zane
He's
for these Southampton old guys.
he's the mad scientist.
You think Nathan Redmond can handle those levels of zane? I don't think so.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird. Like, even he really rode the hot hands. Like, I get Armstrong, I guess, more so than, like Che Adams or something, given the preseason. But, like, Jan Valery over, like, Perot, who played well last year. Like, I don't know. And Stu Armstrong on the bench. I don't know. Very strange.
Yeah, very strange. Very strange.
But it looked like it was going to work out early on.
Yeah,
had a goal.
they did start off the game pretty good. Let me get to my notes. I'm all scrambled. Yes, they did start out well. The classic Southampton, if you will.
Yeah.
You know,
That's already 3 blown points from a winning position. They're off the cup, just Strong start from Southampton.
They waste no time.
Yeah.
They say, we're doing it again. Gosh darn it.
We're winning 15. We don't have a choice. But a nice start where they're kind of buzzing around, making Tottenham kind of handle the ball a bit. And you know what? Southampton able to win the ball back a couple times, and they're able to do something. They take the lead. James Ward-Prowse, just the hopper.
Yeah.
Just drilled it right in the ground, popped right over Lloris, upper 90.
Slightly better than Potence's.
Yeah. It's a little more clean, easy on the eyes.
Yeah. It's because I said he doesn't score from open play. So
Yeah.
he's like, I'm going to have this rip. I feel like when he does score from open play, it's like this. You know,
Yeah.
He doesn't just have like a little shot that goes in.
Yeah, a normal finish.
But I guess that's what happens when you're kind of more of a deeper line midfield player.
Yeah.
But after that, Tottenham kick things into gear. 21st minute, Sessegnon draws it level, back post header. Beautiful cross from Kulishevsky, has to be said.
Oh, he's fantastic. I love that guy.
Yeah, he is very talented. I mean, he has been one of the best players since he's come to the league.
I'm never going to let it down the fact that Conte let Ali leave and then dropped yeah, we got worse today. We got Kulishevsky and Dele Alli's gone. It's like,
We'll check in with Dele Alli in a little bit. Tottenham were really pushing the fullbacks, the wingbacks up in this system. You know, they love to do it.
Yeah, and you know, when Southampton's out there playing Jan Valerie, I don't think you have a choice but to go at the wide defenders.
Yeah, there were a lot of bad giveaways, I thought, from both teams.
Yeah. Tottenham didn't look super sharp. They just, again, they capitalized on their, they probably had, they had a handful. I'd probably say, 9 chances in total in the game. Probably had, 8 in the first half, but they capitalized on most of them. With that said, the new keeper for Southampton had some really nice saves, too.
Yeah, I think he held his own.
There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
If you're saving it like a 50-60% clip, which is probably what he did, that's about all you can ask for.
Yeah, I don't think he really went wrong too much. Maybe a little spotty distribution, but that'll happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I was just talking about the saves, not the
right. Yeah, in terms of saves, I don't think he did anything wrong.
No.
32nd minute, Tottenham grab a second goal.
Your guy
swinging in a ball through Mr. Eric Dier with the
weird diving side header thing. Yeah.
No one expects the Eric Dier header. That's
no
for sure.
one. No one, especially when it comes in like that. He's crouching. He
crouching Dier, hidden
header.
Hidden header.
That's the name of the pod. That's the name of the pod. Crouching Dier.
Crouching Dier, hidden header.
Yeah.
Someone write that down.
Oh gosh. It goes into half 2-1. Tottenham come out second half still in control of the game. Sessegnon scoring, but offside. And then, Salisu own goal.
Oh, man, Southampton, they're fulfilling all the cliches of Southampton. Blowing the lead, comical own goals, giving up weird goals.
Yeah.
All they needed was a wide open missed sitter.
Yeah, really.
That's Southampton bingo. We were almost there.
Yeah, pretty much. Kulishevsky doing Kulishevsky things out there. After that, Tottenham just see it out.
Yeah, I couldn't bear to watch the last 20 minutes of the game.
I didn't take any notes on this game. I watched it, and I just kind of sat there. I couldn't absorb it.
So did Southampton.
Yeah, it was not okay.
Yeah, after
my wide play was better than Southampton, and you might say, what does that even mean? And that's the point.
Yeah, exactly.
Good win for Tottenham to start the year.
Mm-hmm.
We talked last pod about how if they're going to make a title push this year, which is semi-realistic to us, they have to be going from the offset, especially Kane. But Kane not able to score in this one. He had 1 or 2 good chances, but they're part of the good saves that your man, what's his name, Bazunu?
Bazunu, yeah.
He had, so. all in all, Southampton
Rough go.
rough go to start. But
Time
there's
to-
always
Time to spin the Hasenhüttl roulette now and see what happens.
Yep, exactly.
And we go from one stellar match to another absolute stellar match.
The
only-
worst match of the week
The only thing that could get worse than the Tottenham Southampton game is this match.
is 110 minutes of Everton football. You're welcome.
Yeah. This might be one of the worst matches I've ever watched.
I think 95% of it had to do with the fact that it was just so long, but yeah, it was terrible.
I don't want to watch 90 minutes of Everton. I definitely don't want to watch 110 of Everton.
To the lineups: Pickford, Tarkowski, Patterson, Mina, Mikolenko, Godfrey, McNeil, Gray, Doucouré, Iwobi, and Anthony Gordon. For Chelsea: Mendy, Silva, Koulibaly, Dave, Jorginho, Conte. Wow.
Sorry. What happened there?
Reading the lineups:
I don't know how I clicked on something else. But
Conte, Chilwell, James, Sterling, Mount, Havertz. Game started off, not much happening, then a nasty, nasty injury to Mr. Godfrey.
nice leg break. I think he had like 2 parts break in his
Yeah,
leg or something.
it might as well have been the whole thing just snapped.
Yeah, it was like 9 minutes in or something.
Yeah.
And that was about 10 minutes.
That's Kai Havertz for you. He's a dirty player. I always said it.
Kai Havertz, Mr. Incognito, the man who shaved his hair, and I didn't even recognize him.
You thought it was Mount for a second. You saw the 9 on his back,
Yeah, it's like, oh, shaved
even
head.
though he's 29.
Yeah.
Chelsea just could not cross really in this or connect on passes. They looked like they hadn't really played together,
No.
which was very strange because it was guys like James and stuff that were not able to do it. It wasn't like new guys.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously you have Everton just kind of sitting back a lot, and that doesn't help.
Yeah. You
You
have
know,
to
having
be.
to break down Everton, which, defensively, I thought they were pretty decent. Tarkowski looked.
This is the
pretty
thing.
good,
I
I thought.
don't. When people say Lampard's the worst manager in the Premier League, that's just like not true. Like that defense was so bad at times last year under Ralph, and it's still bad.
Yeah.
But like, you can only make you can't make chicken salad out of chicken shit. But they do look better and more organized, like under Lampard. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's smart to go with a back 3 in their
'Cause you can have
case.
5 back there too.
And then obviously bringing in Connor Cody, that's going to be another absolute massive signing.
Yeah.
Having Cody, Tarkowski, and either
That's an
Mina or
actual
someone
Premier
else.
League.
That's a defense. Yeah, I mean we're not. They're not like world beaters, but it elevates Everton.
Yeah.
It was definitely one of their weaker aspects last season,
Yeah.
and they've gone and improved that. I think Connor Cody, one of the most underrated players in the league,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Behind Michael Keane.
And I absolutely, and I think Wolves will soon regret that decision. And I think Wolves are heading towards firing Bruno Lage anyways.
Yeah.
And now they're changing the system. They get rid of their club captain.
It's on loan, mate. He can come back next year, yeah?
Option to buy.
I know. I was just kidding anyways.
Yeah, either way.
Option to buy.
Wolves are going in a weird way.
Option to buy.
Put that on a t-shirt. Maybe a coffee one. So anyways, first half, not too much happening.
Everton, kind of frisky in attack for a little bit. But it's mainly just Gordon running, so then that's it. It's just one guy. He's got to take on everyone pretty much.
Yeah, the problem is they get the ball like in their own half, and then they have to go all the way down.
Yeah.
And it's like,
So he's able to get past like the midfield, but then it's like you're not getting past Koulibaly and Silva. So
yeah.
Chelsea's back line looked really experienced, which in one way is good, but in another sense is, when I say experienced, I mean quite old. too. So
I knew exactly what you said.
You're gonna be gassed
Yeah.
come the end of the year, but while their legs are fresh, that's the best
They do look pretty good.
That's the best you can have out there. I thought as far as Sterling's debut, he was good yet horrible at times.
That's kind of the Sterling experience, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
I thought Chelsea needed his kind of like dribbling every once in a while, even if it's just to win a corner.
Mm-hmm.
But some of his passing and decision making was quite poor,
Yeah.
along with the fact that he was offside for that one goal when he easily could have
Yeah,
been
that was
onside.
just pure laziness, really.
Yeah. So, and then there's the penalty by Doucouré. Don't know how it's controversial in any way, but
Yes, in what way is this controversial? This is like a Stonewall pen.
2 hands on the guy from behind,
It-
and you're pulling.
If you're watching this and you don't think that's a penalty, one, obviously you're not listening to our podcast because everyone who listens to our podcast is a genius.
Yeah.
So obviously everyone knows that was a penalty. But for all those hypothetical people who aren't listening to our podcast, who should be, to wisen up a little bit, Galaxy Brain, that's a penalty. 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a question.
The contact is there. He's coming from behind. It's a penalty.
Yeah. Jorginho does what Jorginho does best. He scores on the season debut for Chelsea. How about that?
Yeah, what's it saying? Death, taxes, and Jorginho penalties for match week of the season.
Exactly. Second half, Damari Gray counterattack chance blocked by Thiago Silva. There are a couple of chances where Gray really stretched Chelsea too, along with Gordon, but there's only like a couple. Everton best chances coming this half. They had a nice chance, kind of just random mad scramble off a corner, but Mendy recovered. Chelsea just not very aggressive and really trying to see the game out. In a way, that's scary, but in another way, their defense was so good this game that it was like that's probably their best bet and their safest bet. Also, you're going against Everton's attack, so. And my last thing to say is, well, I guess 2 points to wrap up. Finishes 1-0. Cucurella looked like Chelsea's like third best player, and he played about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
He was actually able to complete passes.
Yeah.
My last point, Everton had this game there for the taking. I feel like.
Yeah, I think so. I think Chelsea played pretty poorly overall.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say, especially the midfield.
It's like they come across a low block, and they just like their brain stops working.
Tuchel's autism is like...
It's like complete simple passes.
No.
No, I can't.
I have to thread this insane through ball.
Yeah.
Through, so we get a walk
To no
walk
one.
in. Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah. Not the best for Chelsea, but
Also, there was like no involvement of Mason Mount. He might as well not been out there. Might as well not played him. Like no one looked for him. You couldn't get him on the ball.
and that's exactly what you need. You need Mason Mount if you're going to be breaking down the low block.
Yeah. Well,
It's not going to happen by just swinging crosses to your imaginary striker who doesn't exist.
yeah. It's all fun and games to not have a number 9 until you absolutely need to just hoof balls in the box and have him win a header.
See, that's the Arsenal experience.
Yeah,
Having
but the
no
guy
striker.
Yeah, but the guy winning the header is Gabriel, but it's only off corners. The center back, Gabriel.
Well, that's elite.
Yeah. Moving on.
Moving on. Yeah, enough of that match. The people have heard enough. Moving on to Sunday's games. First match of Sunday, Leicester versus Brentford. If I recall correctly, you weren't too excited about this match.
No.
We'll see if that changed throughout the course of this match.
It was a solid game. It was a solid game. To the lineups, Danny Ward, Mr. Fofana, Mr. Evans, Mr. Marte, James Justin, Tielemans, Dewsbury Hall, Ndidi, Castagna, Vardy, Madison for Brentford, Raya, Hickey, Henry, me, Janssen, Norgard, Jensen, Janalt, Wisa, Tony, and Mbuemo. So this was interesting to me. They stick with that 4-3-3 that they finished the year with Eriksson.
Mm-hmm.
They say, we had success. Yes, sure, it was with Eriksson. We're going to stick with it.
Yeah.
Then Leicester, I would say, oh, and I think he's hurt because he wasn't on the bench. Was Dier on the bench?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think he was hurt.
He's still hurt. So, yeah, because otherwise I would have said, oh, that's kind of surprising was me over him. But, you know, as far as Leicester, not really. I guess we don't really see a 3-5-2 unless Fofana's healthy because last year they didn't really do that much except when he's healthy. So
yeah, interesting to see a Marte in the back three. But, hey, shout out Danny Ward stands. Rise up, rise up.
The
We've
Welsh
all been
man
waiting.
himself.
And I think I'm the only one. I've been waiting in the wings for Schmeichel to leave, and now it's Danny Ward's time to shine.
And we'll see.
Getting into this match.
Yeah, Leicester control early, but Brentford still had some chances.
Yeah, I think overall Leicester were playing pretty good. Brentford didn't have too much going for them. They were organized, at least, so they weren't conceding too much. But in terms of things going forward, it just wasn't really quite clicking. They were having kind of those issues. This time it was more like the defense linking up with the midfield, I thought. They'd try and go through the fullbacks, and then they just kind of run out of real estate and give up the ball to Leicester. But
yeah, it kind of felt like they had to hoof the ball forward too at times a lot.
Brentford did have a good chance in the 18th minute. Ivan Toney, but surprisingly, he was just stumbling around and couldn't sort out his first touch.
Stumbling and bumbling.
Yeah. Shortly after that, Madison diving header goes just wide. And then Leicester open up the scoring through Castagne's near post header from the corner kick.
Ran in there, sprinted in there, unmarked. Nice
Yeah.
little flick on.
Yeah, that was really nice.
Looked good. I thought Tielemans was actually good in this game too.
Yeah, I thought so as well. I was impressed. After I've been giving him stick for the past
Well, yeah,
6 months.
He didn't play well the last year or so.
And this is kind of where he shines, is where you're not required to put too much defensive effort in, and he can just go full offense. Leicester were in control in the first half.
Yep.
Not too much threat out of Brentford, and you're thinking, it's looking good. Tielemans had a chance right before halftime, almost 2-0, but goes into halftime 1-0 for Leicester. And then they come out second half, 46th minute, 2-0. Our guy, Dewsbury Hall.
Just a banger.
A banger.
Winning the ball, comes out, Ripsky just takes a blast.
That was an absolute euphoric goal.
Yeah.
I was on my couch just like
I was singing along.
dancing.
Well, Brentford respond by winning the ball off a throw in Leicester territory. A little dink ball over the top to Toney. And he's able to control it this time. He's able to slot it past your boy Danny Ward, and I forget who was on him for the center back. But it cuts it 2-1.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Brentford opting for some substitutions, taking off Ben Mee, who I thought he was pretty poor overall. He was kind of apt
There's a lot
for that
asked for
second
him.
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. I hold him to a high level, and I just didn't think he had it on that day. But they took off me and Jensen and brought on De Silva and Lewis Potter.
Yeah.
Switching things up, trying to get a little more possession,
Yeah,
a little more attack.
Mr. Frank was he was feeling his subs because all his subs hit this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So shortly after that, like you said, the goal, what the heck, what did I do? My notes.
I don't know what you did.
Get back to my notes.
Leicester had a set piece that hit the post.
Yes.
Mr. Fofana creating a chance. But then it's deja vu as Brentford steal the ball in Leicester territory, cross it into Toney, and he has his time, but he puts it just wide on the header.
Yeah, Brentford getting more into the game, and Leicester decide to counter that by taking off Dewsbury Hall and bringing on Daka. That was a real head-scratcher for me.
We're going to hit him on the counter.
And that was the only sub Leicester used.
Yeah.
So Brentford increased their presence in midfield, and Leicester start getting outpossessed, and they say, okay, bring on another striker and take off our best midfielder.
They said, we're going to shut up shop, we're going to stop you, and we're going to try and hit it on the counter. And you know what was it Jay or Josh De Silva? Josh De Silva, you know what he said to that? He's like, how about this peach upper 90 right on your head? So you drop 2
He
points.
channels peak Arjen Robben with the cut
Lefty
inside
curl.
lefty curler. No chance. I mean, that was a beautiful shot.
Yeah.
Danny Ward just saying.
Also,
Bye-bye.
Leicester's defense kind of sitting back in the box, like not
No
up
one
on
challenging
Silva.
him.
Yeah, no one near Silva or De Silva.
Yeah.
I'm going to mess up his name the whole time. Jay Silver.
Jay Silva. Yeah, he just said, I'll have a pop and equalize. I mean, full time ends 2-2. I thought this was a really interesting game to watch from a tactical perspective.
Yeah, Frank stole his team 1 point, and Brendan Rodgers blew 2 points for his team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's what it came down to.
You know, I think both of us, I think it's fair to say we like Brendan Rodgers for the most part.
I'm indifferent to
You're
him.
indifferent. I think overall he's pretty good, but this is one of those moments where it's like, oh, man, that was a real stinker.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, he was pretty much at fault.
For this
Thomas Frank made the correct subs. All of them hit, like you said.
Yeah.
And Leicester had no answer to that.
No, truly not.
Yeah. So, impressive for Brentford to get the point back. Disappointing for Leicester.
Momentum boost for Brentford, momentum killer for Leicester.
Yeah, everything was going nicely.
Speaking of a team that's going to play Brentford next week, we have Manchester United.
Manchester United trying not to channel the PTSD from last season's beatdown by Brighton.
Look at Pascal Gross's piercing eyes. Don't look at him.
Anything,
Don't look at him, United
but
fans.
That man.
Not this guy. David De Gea, Harry Maguire, Lissandro Martinez, Diego Dalot, as Sam would say, Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Fred, McTominay, Rashford, Eriksen, Sancho. What kind of lineup did this bald fraud Mr. Ten Hag put together? For Brighton, we have Bobby Sanchez, Adam Webster, Lewis Dunk, Joel Veltman, Alex McAllister, Pascal Gross, Adam Lallana, Moises Caicedo, Solly March, Leo Trossard, and Danny Welbeck.
Yeah, Ten Hag didn't get the memo that Rashford is trash.
Trashford.
Yes, yeah. Sing it with me, Trashford. And Trashford. Obviously, Diego Dalot is pretty bad himself.
Apparently, the Man U board didn't get the memo that Fred and McTom as like defensive pairing in midfield is shit.
Yeah,
they didn't get that over the summer.
Was there? What went wrong last season? Was it the midfield? No,
it was
not the midfield.
It was Harry and CR7's fault. That's it. Yeah. Here's a 5'6" manlet to play alongside Harry, and we're gonna just hold on to Ronaldo. Yeah,
and piss off Ronaldo, and then we're gonna try and throw Marcus Rashford in there.
Yeah, that's good. That's a genius move.
Yeah, and then we're gonna be like, all right, slap some Christian Eriksen on that. That'll fix it. It's like the Flex Seal, you know.
Yeah, pretty
fix
much.
the hole in the boat. Christian Eriksen.
Slap it on. Yeah. Oh, I mean, there was nothing good about this game for United in the first half. Not one single bit. Chances for Brighton right away with Man U, mistake. Like right off the bat. I think it's Dalot gave the ball away.
Yeah. In mid-season form.
Yes. Man U had a chance from Sancho, fed McTominay, who fed Bruno, and Bruno skied it. That was probably the highlight of the first half for United.
Yeah.
It felt like Sancho didn't get involved and probably made like 10 passes this game, but his 10 passes were good.
Yeah.
It's just he couldn't get on the ball.
Yeah.
Brighton, a little more compact. United, too spread out, I felt like. And then Man U were allowed to play out of the back up until probably like the 15th minute or so, would you say? Mm-hmm. And then Brighton's like, wait. Because I guess Brighton doesn't press, but then Brighton's like, wait, these guys can't pass.
Terrible.
They can't pass. Let's just throw some bodies out there.
Yeah.
And then we get David De Gea like passing the ball out of bounds and just Man U spreading it to nobody.
Yeah, it was a good press.
I don't even think it was that great. I think they were literally just like around the vicinity, and it made it even worse.
You unleash Danny Welbeck on them.
Oh my!
And they can't handle it.
Man U counterattack with poor passing, and Eriksen soft shot result in nothing. I thought the McTominay challenge could have been a red, and no one talked about it.
Yeah,
I
did see it.
It was 50-50, but that was pretty high, and they're like, "Oh, the guy was over the ball." It's like, yeah, he missed the ball and got like his shin. studs up.
I think it was pretty bad, but I think for me,
It's an orange.
a
orange
orange.
card.
It's pretty borderline. If it got called, I wouldn't have a problem with it. But
Yeah.
if it doesn't get called, I think
It's probably
no.
circumstantial. If that second half, it's just red and you're off. First half, it's like, but you might, if you have another foul, it might be a soft second yellow. And just know that.
Also, the context of the play helped it in the fact that, he made an effort for the ball, and it was kind of like more of a continuation over the ball that,
Yeah, it's also around his own box, which is kind of weird. But
yeah.
Brighton have Man U pinned in for 10 minutes or so. Eventually, Brighton get their goal. Trossard plays Welbs up through the wing, who squares it for Pascal Gross wide open. Harry Maguire in this play out to lunch. Caught out of position entirely, and no one else covered for him. So what else is going to happen?
Brighton slicing through the United midfield and defense like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah.
It looked so simple. It was like 3 passes. You have your goal.
Second goal, rebound, Delo asleep. Gross puts it away. Pascal Gross, the slayer of Man U.
How many times do I got to tell you, United? Stop playing Diogo Delo. He's terrible.
Pascal Gross wakes up and says, "Hold on, Man U. This is only going to hurt a lot." And he's just about to
It's because he's got the new hairstyle going.
Yes.
Looks much better than the shaved head.
My last point about the first half is the announcer. This is a direct quote. I forget who was announcing, but this is a direct quote. After a complete, just terrible pass that goes out of bounds. "Yeah, I can see him being removed at half, Fred." Just, it's
the midfield was a nightmare. My analysis of the first half was United, their attack was like everyone just is doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
There's zero organization at all.
Yeah,
Guys are just...
There's no cohesion in like the
there's
team,
no
let alone the
cohesion.
facets of each specific component. Like
Yes.
there's no cohesion between midfielders,
Yes.
let alone between midfield and attack. There's no cohesion between attackers, let alone between attackers and midfield. There's just everyone's all over the board.
There's no positional awareness. Everyone's like, okay, I got a free roll. I'm gonna be over here. You got Rashford in the central.
I'm gonna be here. You gotta find me.
and then Sancho just kind of pops up. Eriksson is like, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah, Eriksson's like, I had better teammates on Brentford than what I'm dealing with right here.
Yeah, and it was just like they're playing true chaotic positionless football. That's what it was. It was like United, or City, but on fire. And things are very bad.
Terrible. Goes in half 2-0, and then they come out second half. Attack looks a little better, and then Rashford, I think, was he off? I think they called him
Might have
off,
been
wasn't he?
Yeah, but he got stonewalled by Sanchez.
Yeah.
Either way.
Yeah, that was rough.
Just
No, I
gotta
think
give a shout
I
out
think
to
they called
Bobby
him off, but
Sanchez.
he wasn't actually off, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, you might be right.
Which is hilarious because the whole last year they just like let it play on and they blow it dead. Then the guy immediately gets like
It was inevitable when people complained. They're like, "Oh, you need to raise your flag faster."
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, well, this is gonna happen then.
Yeah. They got a crap own goal. They created that. Ronaldo comes on.
Yeah.
He didn't score, but they created a goal with him on the field, I guess. So he's +1 out there.
Yeah, that's right.
Unlike Fred, who was -2.
They did make a couple subs. Things started to look better. Really it didn't look better until they got this crap goal. And then things started flowing. They were playing some nice through balls. Looked dangerous. And Brighton was looking a little shaky, I will say. But they held on.
Yeah, it was enough. If the game went 10 more minutes, United probably score, but guess what? It doesn't. This isn't Everton where we play 110-minute games.
And what's the key factor in that? I think, having Ronaldo on changed things. I think having someone to pass to Eriksson
No.
changed
The
things.
year before when they didn't have Ronaldo, they were second place. I don't care about circumstances, Sam.
you're right.
They were in second place. Now last year they got Ronaldo and they finished 6th.
Yeah, true.
Do
You're right.
people actually think like that? Like, what are people's thought
Ronaldo's
process?
the problem.
Their third leading goal scorer last year was Fred with 4.
Ronaldo's the problem.
Oh my gosh. If you would have told high school me that I would have to be taking the vanguard stand for Ronaldo,
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to face that world, but yet
Dark
here
depths.
we are.
Here we are.
So it finishes 2-1. Graham Potter, masterclass.
Genius.
He makes it happen. And by makes it happen, I mean he didn't really have to do a whole lot.
Well, I mean, that's kind of the key tactic to playing United is just let United be United, which is awful.
Yeah.
And they
I
did
think
it.
the funniest part about this game is after when people were saw Danny Welbeck played virtually kind of how he played to end last year, just solid,
Yeah.
decent. He's out there, he's doing stuff, and people are like, oh, United, they shouldn't have let him go. It's what are you talking about?
That was 10 years ago.
Yeah, they'd be like if you ran into a girl on the street you dated for a little while, and you're like, oh my God, what if I married her? It's what are you talking about? That doesn't even make sense.
I would have been so much better with you.
Yeah, it's what? 2-1. Yeah, Danny Welbeck got a loan from Arsenal to Watford at one point. What? He couldn't even play for Watford.
Yeah, he kind of fell off for quite a while there.
It's almost circumstances work best for Danny Welbeck where he is.
Yeah.
But no, 2-1 United. What'd you think of Alessandro Martinez?
Oh man, he had some nice passes, but
Yeah. The one thing that's ingrained in my mind is just right before half when he had the ball and was super slow on it, and then one guy walked up to him, took it off him, and then he immediately had to take him out from behind, and he got a yellow.
yeah, I just don't see how he doesn't end up as a liability.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I guess I think you can get away with him against the weaker teams when you're holding possession the whole time, and that's kind of the benefit of having a ball playing center back.
Yeah.
But when you need someone to
I feel he
bolster
makes
down defensively,
way more sense in a back 3 than a back 4, to say the least.
I think he would make more sense as a midfielder.
You think he's their answer to CDM?
I don't know. He's probably better than any of the buffoons that they have going, a.k.a. Fred or McTominay.
That's a good call. I would guarantee he is better than those guys because those guys frickin' stink.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Last game of the week.
Just one final note. I was thinking about this.
No.
I was going to say, in terms of Bournemouth,
Yeah?
they played a very tall lineup, with two tall
Yes.
strikers, Solanke and Kiefer Moore.
Yeah.
I immediately thought of
Sandro
United, those
Martinez,
guys going against Lissandro Martinez.
he could handle both of them.
I
He
think-
had a higher aerial success rate in the Eredivisie than Dan Burn did in the Premier League. You don't understand. Sam, what did I
Stats.
tell you about context and circumstances? They don't
They don't matter.
I see numbers and I say, ooh, okay.
Yeah, I just thought,
No, yeah, that's a great point.
there's kind of this trend of going more towards these center backs who can play more possession based football and kind of conceding the defensive abilities.
Yeah.
What happens when you go old school like Bournemouth? You go 4-4 fack and 2,
Yeah.
throw up some big blokes up front
Yeah.
and hoof them the ball.
You're going to get manhandled. You're going to get Alexander Arnold. It did.
You're going to get dunked on. You're going to be like Villa, losing every set piece.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see. Does that work out in their favor? Who knows?
We'll
Only
see.
time will tell.
Only time will tell, just like only time will tell if Erling Haaland will be the leading Premier League goal scorer of all time.
And time's up. The answer is yes.
Yeah. To the lineups, Fabianski, Ben Johnson, Cresswell, Zuma, Schufal, Fornells, Lanzini, Bowen, Soucek, Rice, Antonio. So the classic 4-2-3-1 out of Mr. Moise. City, Ederson, Walker, Diaz, Ake, Cancelo, Gundogan, Rodri, De Bruyne, Haaland, Grealish, Foden. That's a beautiful lineup that Pep threw together, I must say.
Very mint.
And I'm not talking about Phil Foden and Erling Haaland's faces when I say beautiful lineup.
Not the prettiest, objectively.
First half, kind of slow. Kind of felt like City was feeling their way out. West Ham really couldn't get much going at all this game in general, though.
No, it was pretty rough. Yeah, like you said, it was really hot this weekend. I think that played a part.
Yeah.
Both teams were kind of
heat wave.
slow off the start. And then when you're West Ham, you're playing against Man City, so you're barely going to see the ball anyways.
Yeah.
I was disappointed watching West Ham. They had literally nothing.
Yeah.
Not even a breakout through ball up to Bowen or something, try and hit on the counter.
Man City and Pep did a fantastic job of neutralizing the midfield of West Ham, making sure, hey, Rice and Soucek, even if they put a shift in, they're not going to beat us in terms of taking the ball off us and transitioning. Because if they get transitioning, I guarantee you they're going to score because we'll have two guys back.
Yeah.
So it was a great job by Pep to ensure that they're not going to get caught out.
Yeah, it just seemed like West Ham had like no width. And when they would get the ball, they'd try and play more centrally, which is like not going to work.
I'm fine with Schufel, I'm fine with Johnson, but I mean, those guys they weren't really on an island, so to say, but they're going to get exposed when it's Grealish and Cancelo going at them.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I thought offensively, City, they didn't have their best.
No.
There were
their passing wasn't.
passes.
Yeah, their passing was not very good. It wasn't like one of those games where City's like completely just like off. You can just tell sometimes.
Yeah.
But it definitely wasn't prime City.
It was like week 1.
Yeah.
Still trying to
lose to Tottenham week 1 City, just like last year, right?
get things sorted. There were times where they could have played in Holland and whatnot, but
and part of that too is chemistry, getting used to Holland, because he's so fast and so strong, and he just knows like when to make the runs at like all times.
Yeah,
he's always
and it's
looking
like,
for it.
This guy shouldn't be so fast for how big he is, but he is, and he's like explosive fast.
Yeah, his ability to jump and his speed, he's a wild guy.
And that showed off in the 34th minute. Gets in behind, beautiful ball in by Mr. Gundogan. Alphonse Areola coming in for the injured Fabianski, goes for the ball, but gets the man. Penalty award.
That's where it all went wrong for West Ham. Your boy Fabianski getting hurt.
Yeah, that was not ideal.
Yeah. Old man, though.
Old man. I mean, he gets hurt
He's
at
like
least
37.
Once a season. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Holland steps up for the penalty, scores his first goal in the Premier League, first of many, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it goes into halftime, 1-0. All Man City pretty much. And they didn't really have to go too hard.
No, I thought they did a really good job. They didn't even really it didn't feel like one of those games where they're like super reliant on De Bruyne or anything. It felt like this game was really like, let's get Grealish especially involved, kind of get him going.
Yeah.
I think you'll see that a lot out of City this year, where Pep's going to go in with like, all right, we can utilize this guy this game, and we're going to go at him with that plan.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Try and utilize Grealish a bit more. Second half, decent chance for Rice after Gundogan gives away, but he blasts it high. And when you're playing against City,
got to take advantage of everything.
You got to make it count.
I got to make it count.
Gundogan has a chance from a tight angle, can't score. And then West Ham do start to show some attacking threat. They brought on Scamacca.
Yeah, he looks solid.
Yeah, I thought he looked solid. I think
he has a lot more like pressing and stuff to his game than I thought he would.
Yeah, I think he'll suit West Ham nicely.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he replaces Antonio. I'll say it.
Yeah, I agree. And then in the 65th minute, Haaland hits for a second on the counter. Beautiful ball from Kevin De Bruyne, and that was like, wow, this guy is so good. His awareness to make the runs. You pair that with Kevin De Bruyne, that is a scary threat. I mean, Haaland wastes no time. Get off the mark. 2 goals.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing about it was how people who hate the Premier League because they have no lives were like, oh, Erling Haaland will never get this much space in the Premier League. And then they like post the picture of like him being played in behind. It was like 30 yards between the keep and the defense. And then you'll find a picture of like him in the Bundesliga. It's literally half the field. Like he's being played on by like the midway line, not even the defense.
Right. Yeah, he is just he's a freak of nature. It's hard not to enjoy watching the guy,
No,
just
you gotta love
as
him.
a fan of the game. He's,
And
he's
he has
a freak of
an
nature.
exuberance to him, some personality, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say after that, City kind of just saw it out. Nothing too
Yeah.
crazy.
Brought on Calvin Phillips, make his debut.
Mm-hmm.
That'll be interesting to see how that works out between Rodri and Phillips.
I think a lot of it is going to be kind of rotating. You'll probably see Phillips a lot of times against the weaker teams or teams where Pep feels like he can get away with just like a really basic, generic defensive midfield.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we can go De Bruyne, Grealish, Foden, Holland.
Yeah.
We'll get away with it.
And we know that Pep loves him some rotation. Looking forward to this weekend's slate of Premier League matches.
Let's do it. Oh, team of the week.
Oh, team of the
We
week.
almost
First-
forgot.
Yes.
Team of the week. In that, we have Mr. Ramsdale. I thought about Mendy, but I didn't feel like Everton created enough.
I think Ramsdale was really clutch.
Okay, I changed my mind. I put in Nick.
All right.
I put in Nick Pope. He made one save and had a clean sheet. Kenny Tete with an assist. Saliba, Thiago Silva, Joel Veltman out there doing stuff for Brighton's defense. Bruno G, Kulishevsky, Jack Harrison, front three of Mitrovic, Salah, and Holland to round it out.
Thought maybe you'd throw in a cheeky Zinchenko, but to each their own.
No, I ran out of space.
First
Someone from
man on
Brighton
the
had to
bench.
make it. Someone from Brighton had to make it in there.
Yeah.
You don't beat up a team like Man U, a world-class team like Man U, and get away with it.
True, with a world-class third kit.
The green one you're talking about?
Yeah, the green one.
Woo,
Awful.
Yeah.
There are some bad kits this year.
There are some awful
some real
kits. There's
shockers.
probably like 3. I saw like a kit ranking thing that had, not Villa's. I was looking at Villa's logo. Palace is high up. I'm like, it's literally just like crayons.
It's crayons. It's the Crayola kit. I like their black one, but it
That's
would be
fine.
better if it didn't have crayons.
Yeah.
Don't give
get
me
it.
crayons.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
I looked at one of those kit ranking lists, and I lost so many brain cells.
Yeah, there's so many bad ones though. It's like, who's designing these?
Yeah.
What person did they like not have eyeballs when they designed this? Like, what were you thinking?
There are some really good ones. It's kind of like really hit or miss.
Yeah.
But anyways, we digress. On to the predictions for Matchweek 2.
Let's hear it. What do we got?
First game of the week, the early game, Aston Villa versus Everton. I am not looking forward to this game.
I got to tell you something.
And I'm going to be up for it.
This game's going to stink. This game's going to stink big time.
Yeah.
And
And I'm opening my nostrils. Get me a whiff of that. It's kind of like those smelling salts.
Oh, yeah.
That's what this game is.
I feel like Villa could do well if they play the right lineup, but Everton's defense might be solid enough to where they keep Villa at bay. That's the only way I see it going. Villa like 3-0 or 1-1. I don't see like any other way this game plays out. Do you?
Oh, I kind of see like Everton smash and grab.
I
Like
can't.
1-0 or something.
I really can't. I'm gonna play it safe. We'll go Villa 1-1 draw.
I'll say 1-1. Yeah.
Yeah, it just feels right. Arsenal Leicester at the Emirates. The Emirates will be hopping. It will be buzzing. Leicester just pooped their pants last week
Yeah.
when they had a 2-goal lead, the dangerous lead in all of sports. What are you looking for in that game?
I'll be curious to see if Fofana is playing.
Okay.
A lot of transfer rumblings, rumors about him. A lot of times that kind of ends up with a guy being taken out of the team. And
Yeah.
that would be a big loss because Amarte, we didn't mention this, but he was pretty garbage. And Fofana is just next level in terms of defense and passing especially.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Lisandro Martinez and the idea of like having a guy that can at least, play the ball. The thing is Fofana's still good at defense.
Yeah.
Like, you're not sacrificing anything. You just have a guy who's capable of playing the ball out from the back, yet is good at defense.
Yeah.
I'm going to go Arsenal 2-0.
I think Leicester will play decent. I mean, the first half they played pretty good.
Yeah.
I feel like we can't discount that. They did play pretty
Well, I'm not
well.
going to say that they're going to get smoked. I just
Yeah.
think that Arsenal will
Yeah.
play well enough to win 2-0.
I just want to say, they did do some good in that match. Despite how poorly it
Yeah.
ended up, they did do some good. But that said, I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal.
Okay. Brighton, Newcastle, Amex. This might be my game of the week.
This is spicy.
This is a good one.
This is one for the big brains.
Yeah.
This is a Premiership Perusal listener's
Yeah.
average game.
This is-
a
yeah.
tactical masterclass.
Throw the P with the crown logo. Just smack that on this game.
Some people might say Chelsea Spurs, but no, our listeners, they say Brighton Newcastle. Yes.
Yes.
Sip my
Oh,
tea.
yes.
Eat
Absolutely.
some caviar.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I want to see Newcastle's attack going against Brighton's defense, even though Brighton's going to hold the ball more. Newcastle so quick that if Brighton are holding the ball and they get caught out, Newcastle are going to be able to counter pretty quickly, but I think there's a chance where Newcastle just dominate the game in terms of possession and whatnot. And Brighton, I mean, what are they going to counter with Lamptey or something? I don't know. They could get some fast build-up going, but Danny Welbeck long ball to, just send them through.
Yeah, the problem is Newcastle isn't really a pressable team.
Yeah.
The machine.
They're too balanced. The machine. The Saudi
They're-
machine.
They're kind of like an anti-press team if there was one. They can break presses pretty easily.
Yeah, because they have the ability to pass, yet they have the speed and quickness to dribble past you.
Yeah.
It's just pick your poison.
So I don't think that route's going to work. But I think it will be a more formidable foe than Forest was.
Yeah.
So I think Newcastle's going to have to be a little sharper offensively.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it depends what kind of
Dan
Brighton we
Burn
see.
revenge game. I'm going to go with a 1-0 Newcastle victory.
1-0. Yeah, I think 1-0's a good scoreline, but I'll be a little zany. I'm going to say 2-0.
Okay. Man City, Bournemouth. A lot of people really discount Bournemouth right here.
That's the problem. You never discount Bournemouth.
No, it's more you just early season Man City. You just never doubt, especially at the Etihad. They're almost due for one game before November to kind of just let you down, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
You drew Southampton at home? What? You lost to Palace at home? What? But in this one, Bournemouth, let's see your defense, how it holds up. Held up decently well against Villa, but there's a little higher quality from Man City. And they're going to be attacking you. They're actually going to be able to utilize the wide space more than Villa was.
Yeah, and I don't think that Bournemouth is going to be able to easily get away with the playing out of the back system that they went with. That's going to be pretty
But,
tough.
we're big Scott Parker guys. He's pretty pragmatic. I think he knows that.
Yeah.
I think he's fine hoofing it forward.
Yeah.
I think that, Bournemouth, it might be tough for City because Bournemouth will load up that midfield. There's going to be a lot of guys there. Mm-hmm. It's not going to be easy. I'm going to go with Man City 2-0, but I'm leaning closer like 1-0.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 2-0.
Yeah, I think kind of the key to success for Bournemouth would be like you get that first pass, you pass up to your strikers, the striker heads down to like a winger or
Little
something
hold-up
on the
play,
overlap and hit on the counter, hit on the wide areas. That's got to be
Like a
your
flicked on
strategy.
header past the defense.
Yeah,
or
exactly.
or-
Kind of like what Tottenham did,
Yeah.
where they'd get it up to like Kane and he'd be able to distribute to like Kulusevski.
Yeah. Where he's got his back to the ball and then quick turns just
Yep.
to play it through or a little flick on back heel or something. Yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
I don't think that's going to happen, unfortunately. I think City will win 3-0.
scenes when Kiefer Moore hat-trick for the 3-2 victory.
Oh, my God, dude. Instant buy the jersey.
Sam would be sprinting down the street naked.
I'd be sprinting to Bournemouth. I'd start swimming.
Southampton Leeds. If Leeds win this, Leeds are officially on.
They're back.
I'm thinking they're already a candidate for a team that starts off hot and fades.
Oh,
They'd
potentially.
have to. I mean, that's 2 wins right off the trot.
What if they're just like better than we thought?
I mean, it could happen.
It could happen.
Southampton at home. We'll see. Leeds defense didn't look all that terrible. You got good performances out of Stroik last game.
Mm-hmm.
A guy who was kind of spotty last year. Koch wasn't terrible.
He didn't get exposed.
Yeah, so we'll see. Southampton, you never know, but I need to see a little more. Maybe get Joe Rebo involved. Make sure you don't throw together a stupid lineup, Hasenhudl, please.
Yeah.
Have
That was really
Armstrong.
funny.
Have Armstrong out there or something, or like Perot, like normal players, not Jan Valerie.
Yeah.
For God's sakes,
that
or
was-
Gineppo,
That was a good one,
Hans.
Hans. Now, come on.
Yeah.
Do the real thing.
I'm gonna go with a 2-2 draw.
I did like Joe Aribo.
Yeah, I like him as a player. He's good.
Of the game. Yeah, he was good. I'm gonna say 2-0 Leeds.
Okay,
Yeah,
fair enough.
I think so.
You're going for it's piling up on Hasenhudl. I'm going for these teams are just chaos.
Yeah, that's true. I think Southampton, they're kind of swinging the negative chaos right now.
True. Speaking of negative chaos, there's Wolverhampton Wanderers
Yeah, that's
going against Fulham.
Yeah, true.
That's positive versus negative
Yeah.
chaos. You know what that sometimes that the polar opposites they combine
Mm-hmm.
the negative and the positive, and they give you just a spectacular game.
Yeah.
And I think we won't have it with this one. I think Southampton Leeds is the one we'd have, but yeah, I need to see, can Fulham's defense look semi-reasonable again against Wolves, who aren't
Yeah.
all that spectacular themselves?
I think it'll be interesting to see Fulham if they can bring that high level of energy that they brought early on against
Yeah.
Liverpool.
This time it's at the Molineux.
Yeah, if they can do that to Wolves, I think I could see him, grabbing a goal or two.
Yeah. Well, it should be mentioned, Wolves did sign Guedes from Valencia, 30 mil. So they're like, okay, I guess we have to buy a striker. It's like, yes, you do.
Yes, you do.
So we'll see. He's not, if you look at his stats, he's not like the best finisher. He's pretty just like average for finishing, but really good at dribbling, really good at passing. So he'll fit in at Wolves perfectly.
He can be like the fourth version of the same exact player.
Yes. I'm going to go against my ill will. I'm going to say that Wolves win 2-1.
I'm going to say 2-1.
Fulham.
I'm going to say Fulham,
That's
baby.
what I was thinking too, but I'm going to give Wolves the benefit of the doubt. Brentford Man U at the G-Tech Community Stadium. What is this soulless?
What happened?
What is this soulless?
What happened to the
Selling
Brentford
out.
Community Stadium?
Yeah, would you rename your city G-Tech? Georgia Tech?
Yeah. You can't rename a community. It's gone. Game's gone.
Yeah.
Sellouts.
It's the Christian Eriksen coming back game.
Yeah, true.
United, what they'll do differently this game, that I don't know.
Start Ronaldo, maybe?
Yeah, I suppose.
Or does Ten Hag have too big of an ego where he's like, I can't let Ronaldo dictate the game.
That happen. I'm too Dutch.
I am too Dutch. I am not like Louis van Gaal. I'm worse. The players need to be better. They need to improve.
I kind of like Brentford in this spot, but also at the same time, Brentford just sometimes are so, not lackadaisical, wasteful with their chances that it upsets me. And we saw it a couple times with Tony last game, and Buemo even had one or two early on where he just put it high, and it's like, dude, get that on net.
Yeah.
I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Pretty boring.
I'm going to say 1-0 United.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, who scores?
Bruno Pen.
Oh, gross, dude.
Yeah,
Gross.
yeah.
What if this is the year of all the 11:30 Saturday games just being ass, just the worst games? Chelsea, Everton, and then Brentford
no.
United.
Is
It's
this
just
one going to be
terrible.
110 minutes?
And they just don't flex. They just don't flex the games at all. They're like, nope, this is the game this week.
This one's on NBC, too. Like,
Yeah.
of all the games, you put this on NBC.
Forest, West Ham on Sunday. Kel Antonio says Forest holds a special place in his heart and he won't celebrate. Jay Lings, however, I think would celebrate so hard if he
100%.
scored on West
He'd
Ham.
be dabbing. Or whatever the 2022 equivalent
The
of
city
dabbing is.
ground. I don't know. It's going to be buzzing there.
Yeah.
That's my only hope
absolutely.
for
First game.
Nottingham Forest.
They could be the new Vibes FC.
They really could be. As far as tactics go, I feel like you'll see more of a presence from West Ham's midfield in this game.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I don't know. It depends how boisterous the crowd can be there in Nottingham. They should be buzzing. They haven't been in the Premier League for like 20-something years, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm curious to see, like, was the game against City kind of more of a one-off in terms of their attack, or
Yeah.
is their attack just kind of slow out the gate this season?
Yeah, we'll have to see. I'm going to go with a West Ham 2-1 victory.
I'm going to say 2-2.
Okay. I like it.
Keep it spicy.
Chelsea, Tottenham. You tell me what you're looking at in this game.
I hate these games. Whenever Chelsea plays a big game, I don't enjoy it. It's like Chelsea versus United. It's always 0-0. Chelsea versus Spurs.
That's what they
I hate
do.
both teams.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Chelsea versus Arsenal usually ends in pain for me.
I don't know. Right now,
It hasn't recently.
we're on a nice gentleman's handshake. We win at the Emirates, you win at the Bridge.
Yeah.
Kinda thing.
Respect.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope to see a little bit better out of Chelsea. That was pretty disappointing.
I would think
performance.
so, especially at home, but you never know. Conte going back to the Bridge.
Yeah, that should be interesting.
I think the main thing I'm going to be watching for is you're actually going to see a full stadium this go around
Yeah,
with Chelsea.
that's true.
It's going to be pretty hectic, especially for the first game back where everyone can go. It's a derby, a London derby. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say that this ends up in a 1-1 draw. How about that? Even though Thomas Tuchel has never had any result against Tottenham in his career other than a win. And that's the jinx right there. He's 7-0-0.
I think it'll be interesting to see how Spurs utilized their wide players against Chelsea's defense, which is experienced, as we call them,
Yes.
aka quite old.
Yes.
You know, is Kulusevski running at that back line? You know, how are they going to handle that?
Yeah.
Are
We'll
they?
have to see.
I mean, there's a good chance Chelsea is going to possess the ball most of the time.
Yeah, and it's just can Tottenham counter. And we thought this last year, too, when Conte first started for Tottenham, and they lost 2-0, 3-0.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, they kind of got pooped on.
Yeah.
It also, the thing that broke the seal of that game was Hakeem Ziyech having an insane curling goal of the year candidate goal. So
Yeah.
I guess what are you going to do? But, yeah, I think 1-1 will be the result. They're pretty equal.
1-1. That's pretty good. I'm gonna say
0-0.
I
Sam's
don't
going
know.
Tottenham
Nothing
win.
feels right in my brain. I'm like clicking through the gears, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no, no. 2-0 Chelsea. There, I said it.
Oh,
Okay.
boy. Liverpool, Palace at Anfield.
Dude,
No-
why do we have a Monday game already? It's the second week of the season. Can we stop?
Well, we had a Friday game. Now I got to have a Monday game.
Yeah, well, no Monday games.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of Monday games either. I prefer Friday games if you have to have a non-Saturday or Sunday game.
Yeah.
Liverpool, Palace. Tough start for Palace this year. Arsenal and then
Yeah.
Liverpool. And you'll see it with Bournemouth too. Bournemouth play City this week, and then I think they play Liverpool. And then they play Arsenal. Who came up with some of these teams?
Yeah, really trying to
schedules.
screw out the small clubs.
Yeah. I think you'll see better from Palace in this one, but you're also going to be a very frustrated Liverpool, you would have to imagine, especially in front of Anfield.
Yeah.
But who knows? Maybe they're still asleep from last game. I don't know. I would suspect, just keep it simple. We'll say 3-0.
I'm going to say 2-0 Liverpool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You have a prediction for the week?
My prediction is the very strong guy from Union Berlin that Forest signed.
Yeah.
I think he's going to score.
Okay.
That guy is jacked. He's like
He's
the
a
new
big guy.
Adama Traore.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, he's big
He's a
guy.
fast guy, strong guy.
His shirt was very tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the Macron kits for
It's the new Puma.
Forest. Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, until next week,
Till next week.
this has been the Premiership Perusal podcast.
Match week 1, baby. We're back.